Space Jam: A New Legacy is a new animated film that is now out in theaters and also streaming simultaneously on HBO Max. It is a follow-up to Space Jam, which came out 25 years ago. I'm actually not entirely sure if this is a sequel. I mean, it sort of isn't because it really doesn't have anything to do with that movie, but at the same time, it does in small ways reference the events of that one, so I guess you could argue it's a sequel. Sequel, spin-off, reboot, whatever you want to call it. It's a new Space Jam movie, and this one, instead of Michael Jordan in the lead role, has LeBron James in the lead role. The story here is that there's an algorithm within a computer, played by Don Cheadle, that really wants more attention and wants more fame. They find a way to manipulate LeBron James and his son Dom to being transferred into the digital Warner Brothers archive. After they're transported into this computerized digital archive for Warner Brothers, LeBron James' son Dom is kidnapped, and to get him back, LeBron James has to win a basketball game against Don Cheadle and his team. LeBron James goes off into the world of Warner Brothers, recruiting different players for his team, and most notably, most of the players that he recruits are the Looney Tunes, led by Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny and Daffy Duck, and you know, all of your favorite Looney Tunes from back in the day. It sets up a pretty high-stakes basketball game between LeBron James and the Looney Tunes and Don Cheadle's Goon Squad, and whoever wins, you know how that sort of thing is gonna go. We have the two warring factions of LeBron James and his fans and Michael Jordan and his fans. The first Space Jam not only is a nostalgic trip in our hearts for a lot of people who grew up with that movie, but it features what a lot of people consider to be the greatest player of all time. This movie features LeBron James, who a lot of other people believe is now the new greatest player of all time. So this movie is going to be a back and forth between the LeBron stans and the Michael Jordan stans. The LeBron stans are going to worship it and think that this somehow is a tip in the cap of his GOAT case. And the Michael Jordan fans are going to hate it because nothing could ever compete with Michael Jordan and the immaculateness of his bald head. I'm not entirely sure if Michael Jordan fans are crazy enough to make up a word like immaculateness, but I know I am, so that's why I used it in this review. I don't care about the LeBron and the Michael Jordan thing. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to be talking about the movie. And while I do appreciate that it is a kids movie, so you kind of have to adjust your expectations and know what you're getting yourself into, also doesn't mean that the movie is immune from criticism. You can walk into this movie, you can judge it on its own merits as a film, and that's what I'm going to try to do here. Bugs, Lola, Sebastian, Tweety, Granny, Yosemite, I mean all of them, the entire crew, they're all really funny, they're outrageous, they're, no pun intended, loony, as they should be, and they have some of the best moments in the movie, especially from a comedy standpoint. Most of the animation, it's a little bit better than it was way back in 1996. You would expect that. Being that this is a Warner Brothers archival type of movie, there are a lot of references and Easter eggs and shout outs and homages to Warner Brothers and their history. You'll see a lot of stuff in here that is meant to trigger that nostalgic part of your brain that says, hey, I remember seeing that, and I remember enjoying that. I remember watching that show. I remember playing with those action figures. This movie has a lot of those type of moments and a lot of those type of reveals and Easter eggs, and it's pretty fun stuff for the most part. I'll also say there's this pretty good message in this movie for kids. There's a conflict that is set up between LeBron and his kid in this movie, Dom. The message is, be you and have fun, no matter what anybody else says, and don't try to live up to some impossible mandate of being the best you can be if you aren't having fun doing it. Do what you want to do and have fun doing it. It's not like I walked into this movie expecting Oscar-worthy performances, but man, some of these people in this movie clearly are just not built to do this type of acting in this style of movie. I actually think that Don Cheadle, who's probably the most established actor that you see in this movie, I just don't know that over the top. I don't know that Don Cheadle really fit that well. There are multiple acting moments from him that made me cringe out loud while watching this movie. I would also say that while this movie is self-aware and it does have some great meta humor that you can enjoy, I think this movie is so self-aware and so self-referential. There's a point where the movie is more focused on the Easter eggs and the history of Warner Brothers and the homages and all of that stuff that it kind of loses itself in the shuffle along the way. It kind of loses track of itself. It loses focus of what it's going for. It's a movie that kind of over relies on its fan service to the point that it takes away from the overall experience, I think. This movie was 2 hours long, and I really do not think this movie needed to be 2 hours long. There's about 25 to 30 minutes that they could have easily cut from this movie, and I don't think it would have affected it that much. Like, I remember I paused the movie at one point because I thought that we were wrapping up the movie, and then it was like, holy shit, There's like 45 minutes left in this thing. Why is this movie so damn long? Despite its problems and its flaws, I actually ended up having a decent time watching Space Jam. I don't think it's a great film. Hell, I don't even think I'm gonna highly recommend this movie. Whether or not it's better than the first one, I think the first one's probably easier to watch. Space Jam: A New Legacy was still somewhat of a decent time. I'm gonna leave this one in the fortress of solitude. So tell me, what did you think about it, and which one is your favorite, the original Space Jam or the new Space Jam? Let me know in the comment section down below.
That's all, folks.